It's time for Rabbi Minkowicz's Weekly Torah Lesson, a place where life's most difficult questions are answered. Here with his spiritual perspective and insight, Rabbi Minkowicz.
Welcome to this week's Torah lesson. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Ki Tavo. The question of the week is, when is your joy complete? So in this week's Torah portion, Parshat Ki Tavo, we learn about the mitzvah when one enters to the land of Israel and he has a piece of land and he plants trees and produce grow. So the mitzvah is a special mitzvah called bikurim. That means the first fruit that comes out, and to a farmer, that's like the first little baby, he's supposed to, instead of enjoying it, bring it as a gift to God, to the temple. But the Torah has an interesting caveat, and it says, when is one obligated to bring this special gift to the temple? That is only after Israel was conquered and divided. Now, what's interesting is it took 14 years for the land of Israel to be conquered and divided. So if somebody went ahead and planted a field in the first, second, or third, or fourth, fifth year, he would not bring the bikurim until after 14 years, till the whole land was divided and every single Jew had a place in the land of Israel. So the question is asked, we know that bikurim is a mitzvah that we do because we're grateful to God for giving us the land, and our produce is producing beautiful produce. So we bring the first as gratitude to God. So the question is, if that's the case, the minute you have your first produce, you should bring it right away to the temple. Why wait 14 years, up to 14 years, until the whole land is divided and conquered? So here we see a very powerful lesson. Because the essence of bikurim is you're bringing the first produce because you're grateful and you're happy and you're bringing it to celebrate with God for the gift that He gave you. So in other words, when a person brings bikurim, he has to be in a complete state of joy, of simcha. However, even though he is happy because his produce is producing, but since the land was not divided and conquered, so his friend, his neighbor, his relative, another Jew elsewhere did not receive his land yet, and therefore was not able to produce produce yet, he will not experience true joy. So true joy will only be experienced when everybody has their piece of land and produces their produce. So to answer the question, when is our joy complete? Our joy is complete not only when it's good by us, but more importantly, when every single Jew has what he needs. Then we will be able to experience complete joy. This week's Torah lesson is dedicated to the memory of Eliyahu Ephraim ben Yosef and Rashi ben Reb Chaim Meir Halevi. May their souls be elevated for the Torah we're studying in their memory. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's Torah lesson. For live classes, please join us at Chabad. Thursday, there's a Parsha class at 11. Thursday evening, there's a Torah class based on the teachings of Arizal at 7 p.m. And Shabbat morning, there's a Kabbalah class based on the teachings of the Rebbe at 9 o'clock, followed by services and a Farbrengen. Shavua Tov, and have a great week.
It's Steinomite.